Howdy, everyone. How are we doing? I, as always, am your host, Landyn Zane, of your favorite podcast. For the record, welcome. I messed that intro up a bit, but we're here. We're doing this. We're freestyling this one. You know, as well. Every episode is a freestyle, so this one's just like every other episode. But what's new with me? What's new with y'all? I hope y'all are doing great. What's new with me? I posted one of the episodes. So when I made the clip, I knew it was going to get somewhat of a reaction, but I thought people would use a little bit of common sense and really read into what I was saying or even remotely think about what I said in the clip. But the clip I posted, it really kind of did really well on Instagram Reels, where I said that it was the clip of the Taylor Swift episode when I was talking about the Tortured Poets Department of when I said that it was the worst album in her discography. Then I immediately went on to say it is, but saying it is the worst album in her discography is like saying it is Martin Scorsese's worst film, meaning she has one of the best discographies ever. So me saying it's her worst album means very little because I thoroughly enjoyed the album still. And I had issues with it, still do. I still think production is not very good. It's I think it's pretty well tread, but it makes me laugh because people on everywhere I've posted it, on Instagram Reels and on TikTok, immediately people are like, you don't get it, you hate it. People get so angry, and it makes me laugh of people just want to be angry on the internet. I didn't even remotely say nobody could enjoy the album. I didn't say anything. I simply said, in my opinion, I think it's her worst album. And I still said, I still enjoyed the album. So, I don't know what the internet has become of this thing of, discourse being that if you don't like something, you're crucified for it. You are, and I'm it was 10 comments. And it also makes me laugh. Of, people are just so pent up and angry about everything. There's one thing I commented on a lot, and I tried to respond to every comment because the hate comments don't bother me. Of just one, trying to really dive deeper and have a true conversation with a lot of these people, and also being there's real issues in the world. I don't know if y'all have watched the news, but there's bad stuff happening, really honestly bad stuff, and people are getting being super aggressive online that I didn't like an album. That allegedly I say I didn't like an album, and I did like it. But there's why can't everyone just be nice? I'm talking about pop music, guys. I'm talking about pop music, not politics, not the economy, not religion. Pop music. I'm talking about pop music and Taylor Swift, and people were furious. And so there's that side of it. And then there's the other side of it, which is I knew in one person's defense, they did comment. They were like, you did have to know what was going to happen when you posted this. And I said, yes, but I said yes at the beginning when I said it of the clip, when I say it's the worst album, I did kind of know what I was doing. But the other side of that is that I went on to compare it to Scorsese and be means I'm basically saying the album's still pretty good, because it is. And I don't know. It makes me laugh. It also makes me sad because I don't know why people feel the need to justify it or spread hate on the internet or be angry, really. I'm a stranger. These people have never met me. I don't know what they get out of it. It probably makes them feel better. It makes me sad, though. And then, my favorite comment I got, one that genuinely made me laugh, is that someone goes, it's okay that you didn't get it. Just say you don't like synth pop. Brother, I make synth pop. I'm a synth pop artist. If I described my music to somebody, I make synth pop. I got another comment. We're going to read it live. Well, I better make sure it's okay to read it live. Oh, never mind. Not gonna read that comment because it was a DM. Not gonna read that. But I don't know. Let's just, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? My voice is better than this in my music. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? So I decided that we're not going to keep talking about that, because if you want to talk about online hate and the internet and that kind of stuff, there's plenty of stuff out there about it. And I guarantee you, if there will be an episode in the future where I talk more about it, because I'm only going to keep getting hate, because because my personality comes off, especially online, as like people don't like me, which is fine. Doesn't bother me. We're going to dive into something that I wanted to talk about because I thought it would be more fun. More, it's a bug. We're going to talk about my favorite albums of all time. I don't know how many we're going to get into. I have a like definitive list of my top 25. We're going to go as long. I'm going to shoot for top 5, and then we may do top 10. But my top 5 is pretty definitive, so we'll probably stick to my top 5. And I think we should just dive in. So, number 1, no. Actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to start at 5, and then we're going to go to 1. Should we do that? Yeah, that's more fun. We're going to start at my 5th favorite album of all time, and then we're going to move up to my 1st favorite album of all time. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. My 5th favorite album of all time is Fine Line by Harry Styles. So, honestly, when I first heard this album years ago, I wasn't super that deep into pop. I really liked pop, but I was listening to an insane amount of just like pure 80s music that came out during the 80s and like synth pop stuff. And I heard this album and I was like, I heard Watermelon Sugar and I was like, no. I was like, no, it's so annoying. And even now, Watermelon Sugar, it works a lot better in context of the whole album, but it's still my least favorite song on the album. Just because it's probably just been overplayed, but it's still a really good song. But this album is amazing. Like, Kid Harpoon's production on this album is great. One of my favorite songs I think ever is Adore You. Adore You is just it's such an amazing song. Like the vocals, the production, like it, oh my gosh. It's such a good album. Like so what I used to do when my voice has gotten a lot better. It's definitely not where I want it to be. But when I was really trying to train my singing voice, when I lived in Texas, my dad and stepmom, they had a Peloton in their room, like Peloton treadmill. And when nobody was home, I'd be like, okay, I don't need to go to the gym. I'm going to go on the Peloton. And there would be like 3 albums I would listen to on repeat and just like try to absolutely nail the vocals on this album. And this Fine Line was one of them. Like, because the vocals on this album are so well done. They're so well produced and laid out. It's such a good combination of like retro production while also being incredibly modern. And God, I really do just love this album. And every time I listen to it, I find things that I hadn't heard before, which is a really hard thing to do, especially like I'm a producer along with being a songwriter and an artist and all this stuff. Like, I know how to produce music and I know a lot of the tricks. So it's really like when an album can do that for me, it's really impressive. And it's like just going through the track list of this album. Golden. Like every song on this album is either fun or it nails it. Every song that is going for a specific emotion, it nails. Golden is such a phenomenal opener. Watermelon Sugar, like I said, it's my least favorite song on the album. I still love it. It's still so fun. I just think it's probably overplayed in my head. Adore You is the best song on this album. It is such an incredible song. It is. If you wrote down the rules of pop music and how to make a great pop song, and you 10 out of 10 nailed every one of those rules, that's Adore You. It is such an incredible song. And then Lights Up. I think Lights Up is one of Harry Styles' most underrated songs. Even like, and I'm pretty sure it was a single because I think it has a music video, like that weird music video in the dark, right? I'm pretty sure Lights Up is a music video even, but it's such a different song, especially coming out of Adore You into Lights Up. It's a great transition. Cherry, I love playing Cherry on guitar. It's a great little guitar song. And oh boy, oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna change my mind. Already changing my mind because I forgot about this song. This is my least favorite song, Falling. I know people love Falling. It it's a great song, but it is a little, I don't know. I think it's a great song, but it is probably my least favorite song on that album, on this album actually. Just because I've said before, slow songs aren't my thing. Like when I'm sad, I want an upbeat song that's gonna make me happy, and a song that's gonna make me want to dance. I don't want like, if I'm depressed, I don't want to feel depressed. Or if I'm anxious or sad, I want to dance. I want to dissociate. I want to move. I want some Adore You. I want some da 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 da. I don't want I'm falling again. Like who the fuck who I know there's a subset of people out there that do want to feel like this, but when I'm sad, I want to boogie, man. I don't want to think about my emotions. I do that enough. I'm in therapy for that. Like if I'm listening to music, I want to freaking boom da doom da 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 boom da doom da 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 boom da. That's what I want. I want to groove. So Falling is my least favorite. Changing my mind. To Be So Lonely. This is the song that trended on TikTok, right? Yeah, the beginning with the ring. I love that song. I just had to make sure the beginning was the part that trended on TikTok. And I know Harry doesn't like playing it live. I'm pretty sure it's this song. But I love this song. Like it's such a strangely produced song, but it's still so poppy. It's and it I don't know. I really enjoy it. She, next song on this album, She, ooh, she. Oh gosh. I need to do some vocal warm-ups or something because that's a little rough, but it's like, gosh, she is a very, it's probably the most rock song on this album. Yeah, most traditional rock. And it's a good song. It's a long song. It's like 7 minutes, right? 6 minutes. It's a good song. It's got that good, cool guitar solo. I enjoy it. Sunflower Volume 6. This is one of my favorite songs on this album. It's top 2 or 3, other than Adore You. Like it, I think it's probably the best. If you're a music production nerd, this is more for you, but I think it's probably my favorite mix on this album. It's such a dynamic song, and like the I couldn't want you anymore. Kiss in the kitchen like it's a dance. Boom boom. Like it's so fun. It's such a bright song, like a very light song, and it really, I don't know. I love where it's at in the album. I just love the song. It's such a happy song. The next song, Canyon Moon. There's sometimes I'll skip it. I don't really like it's one of my least favorite songs on the album, but when this song hits it, oh my god. When this song, if you get in that mood and it's like you got the windows down, it's a bright day and you're in that like perfect mood and you can hear that like then it smacks. It bangs, it slaps, whatever the kids say now. I am 21 though. I'm not 95, so I don't know why I say that, but can't I spilled on my pants. God dang it. Whatever. Canyon Moon is a banger. Treat People with Kindness. Now, I think if you ask most people what the worst song on this album is, they'll say this song. I like this song. Treat People with Kindness. I'm gonna get closer to the camera for this one because people need to hear this. I didn't even hit play. And it started playing. It was destined to happen. Look, if you don't like Treat People with Kindness, you're wrong. I get it. It's a sappy song. It's cheesy. It can be dumb, but it's fun. And why do like let's take a real true look at what he's saying in this song. In the title. Let's be nice. Let's treat people with kindness. Faux shizzle. Faux show. Let's do it. Let's be nice. Let's be kind. Like I sang before, why can't we be friends? Let's just all, and it's fun. It's got that like gospel choir and that doom. It's a very gospely church vibe with that doom. It's a very fun song. It's a fun song. I enjoy it. And then Fine Line, which people, I don't know if it went full viral on TikTok, but I kept seeing TikTok edits. But I am on Harry Styles TikTok somewhat. Um, Fine Line is a great song. Fine Line is a phenomenal song. And it was the song that took me the longest to really fully enjoy. But since then, I really love Fine Line. It does such a good job at like portraying the emotion it's trying to, in terms of like the songwriting is good, and they're like the will be a fine line like that. It just the repetition of that line and the building and that like crescendo into the big climax where the drums and everything kicks in. It really, gosh, now that since I've really come to love that song, it just is perfect for what it's trying to do. All right, Fine Line is done. That was it. My gosh, I need I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Caffeine doesn't work on me because I have ADHD. So I just need to sleep more. Despite I slept a lot last night, so I really don't know what it is. Oh, also, my new single came out. I totally forgot to mention it at the top of the episode. If y'all liked it, good. I'm glad. I hope y'all liked it. I hope you enjoyed. I really do. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. Anyways, but I really hope you liked it. My fourth favorite album of all time. And every time I listen to it, I think it's going to move up even further on the list, but then I look at my top 3 and I'm like, never mind. My fourth favorite album of all time is Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears. This album is a masterpiece. And Fine Line is too. But this album, I don't know what it is about this album. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, holy shit. This is what pop music can be? Like you hear the beginning of that. I hope that YouTube has already probably caught just enough of that. They're like, copyright, gotcha. But this album is incredible. It's truly an incredible album. The production is so well done, and the topics they go into on this album, are things that a lot of pop albums just simply don't talk on. And you're like, this is a fun song, and they're like, Shout is literally about, I forgot, isn't it about political stuff? What is Shout about? Shout, Tears for Fears meaning. But this album, if you listen to it, it does one of my favorite things that pop music can do, which is portray an emotion production-wise or from the vibe of this song or the album, and then you read the lyrics and you realize it's about something completely different. Like that Third Eye Blind song that's about doing heroin. What is that song called? That's one of the most famous songs ever. How am I forgetting what that song is called? Oh my gosh. Third Eye Blind hits Semi-Charmed Life. Semi-Charmed Life. Semi-Charmed Life, you're like, it's so fun. And then you read the lyrics and you're like, what? That's my favorite thing pop music can do. And this whole album does that so well. Meaning. Shout, written by songwriter Roland Orzabal. They got weird names, this duo, but they're cool names. Has noted the song is actually more concerned with political protest. Yeah. So These are the things I can do without. Come on, I'm talking to you. Yeah, yeah. So like this whole album covers a bunch of stuff. Like the working hour. If you read the lyrics, let's see. I'm gonna be honest. I listened to this album last week, and I was just listening to the production. I totally forgot what the lyrics are about. But like this album dives into some deep, deep topics, and also the production on Shout is incredible. I don't know how. I know Everybody Wants to Rule the World is the song from this album, but there's two or three other songs on this album that should be as popular, if not bigger than Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Shout, Mother's Talk, and Head Over Heels. I think Head Over Heels is one of the best pop songs ever. Period. I think it's better than Everyone Wants to Rule the World, or Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Head Over Heels is incredible. You know what? We're just not gonna go through the production or the track list on this album because I feel like this album is a lot more of a deep cut than Fine Line because this album came out in almost 40 years ago at this point. So a lot of people, Tears for Fears as a whole was underrated, but I love this album. The production's phenomenal. The vocals are great. The songwriting is amazing. And it dives into like subjects that pop music really doesn't cover in general. Like how Billie Jean is literally about Michael Jackson being like, look, girl, that ain't my kid. And people are like, Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl. If that I am no one. I mean, that one's a little more obvious. But I feel like a lot of people just kind of vibe. And pop music in general. That's my favorite thing pop can do. Like, the vibe and the lyrics present two different things, but they do it really well. Yeah. So, number 4, Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears. My 4th favorite album ever. My 3rd favorite album ever. In light of everything going on in media, in pop culture, the next 2 albums are going to be a real switch for some people, but they truly have been my my number 2 and 3 favorite albums ever. So number 3, my 3rd favorite album of all time is A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships by the 1975. Now, I know they get a lot of hate, but they are my favorite band of all time. And especially with all the Maddie Healy stuff going on right now, just because of all the Taylor stuff. People are hating on him. This album, 1, Maddie seems like a cool guy. He seems like a genuine guy. And 2, this album is incredible. It is amazing. And I'm not normally a guy that likes albums that are as experimental as this in terms of some of the weirder stuff that are on this album, like How to Draw and The Man Who Married a Robot, or like I Like America and America Likes Me. But this album is incredible, man. So when I was, it was during COVID, so I was a senior in high school so 2021, I decided I really wanted to have something to do for the year, like a big project to get me through the year get me through the rest of COVID and get me through the rest of COVID and get me through my senior year and the year as a whole. So I made this spreadsheet and I decided I was going to listen to one album every calendar day of 2021. So 365 albums. And probably a large majority of my favorite albums have come from that list. Fine Line was on the list. I know Tears for Fears was on the list. And this album was on the list. And the second I heard this album, I was like, okay. I immediately, I've listened to my favorite albums, only one of 2 things happens. It's either immediately, this is one of my favorite albums ever, or I can tell from listening to it that I don't understand this album right now, but I know that after I listen to it a few more times, I will come to love it. That happened with Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears. I was like, I don't love this, but it's good. And I know there's more. And I kept listening to it, and I was like, okay, this is incredible. And A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships was the other way, which is I heard it, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And there were still a few songs that I were like, this is going to have to grow on me. But from the get, I loved this album. Loved this album. And it is just, in terms of the production, the songwriting, the experimentation, every aspect of this album is incredible. It has my favorite, the 1975 intro of any of their albums, other than the one from Being Funny in a Foreign Language, because that's an actual song. Then we're just going to go down the track list. Give Yourself a Try. It's got that interpolation of the, oh gosh. What's that song called? Intruder from, oh my gosh, what artist is it? I can't remember. Somebody will tell me. But it's got that guitar of the do 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 do. It's a great song. Two Time. So when I first listened to this album, my favorite song on this album was Two Time. And I know people don't like Two Time, but I love Two Time. Two Time, Two Time, Two Time. If you want to say the full title. And it's not even remotely my favorite song on the album anymore. But this song live might be the most fun song for them to perform live, just because it's so, either that or the sound. Like Maddie getting the auto tune and just being like, I only called her one time, maybe it would do, and then he goes, and it's like sounds robotic. Guys, I promise I sing better than that. Please don't judge my singing voice based off of the horrible singing I have on this podcast. Listen to my music and judge for yourself that way. But Two Time is just so fun. And it's almost like it's borderline like a Drake song at points. It's just a banger. And then you go next, How to Draw Petrichor. How to Draw, that part of the song isn't my favorite. When it cuts in and it goes into Petrichor, it becomes amazing. The production is so cool, and the way it gets very choppy, and you have that like modular synth and the vocals come in. Like the lyrics are really cool. Yeah, like the format shifted. Like, listen to these lyrics. These are the lyrics from the Petrichor part of that song. Write yourself a letter. Write a letter to your future self who won't change. Don't let the internet ruin your time. They can take anything as long as it's true. What they can't take is you telling them lies. And the song is like it's so fun. And I feel like people don't give that song as much attention as they should, just because it is a strange song, but also because the next song after it is, oh gosh, it may be my favorite song on this album. If not my favorite, it's second, which is Love It If We Made It. Oh my gosh, guys, look, Love It If We Made It is simply one of their best songs. I think it's top 5, maybe top 3 1975 songs. It is an incredible song. The production is so strange, but so poppy. The lyrics are some of the most relevant to current society lyrics that just exist in pop music. And it's like the dance, the love it if we made it. Doom, doom, like, I know the whole dance based off watching TikTok videos repeatedly and copying the dance, because the Love It If We Made It dance is so fun. It's just, like, I don't know what else I could say about it, because it's just such a fun album. Or just such a fun song. Like, the next song is Be My Mistake. Be My Mistake is the song that people reference, and they're like, this is how I feel. Look, whoever you are out there, if you ever meet a person and they say that they relate to the song Be My Mistake, run. It's an emotional song. It's a sad song. If they say they relate to the person in Be My Mistake, run. Flee. If you're on the top floor of an apartment building, you jump out the window, because that song is a red flag if they relate to it. It's a sad song. It's a banger song. It's got some great lyrics. You shouldn't relate to it at all. Don't ever let somebody says that the smell of your hair reminds them of the person's feet, or whatever that he says in the song. Sincerity is Scary. And Sincerity is Scary, it was a song that it took me a minute to really come to like, but after you get that, like, oh, why can't we be friends? Got to if we are lovers. It is one of the best. Why do I feel like I stutter right now? Like I can't get the words out, which is probably actually how I talk most of the time. I'm trying to work on my diction. Let me enunciate that more. My diction. Get your heads out of the gutter. But this song really just is, it's a fun song. And like, it's so bright and happy. And the thing about this song is the verses are probably my favorite part. And then the song that it took the longest probably for me to like is I Like America and America Likes Me. And it has since become one of my favorite songs on the album. Like that, the really weird trap production and all the auto-tune and vocal chops. When I first listened to the album and this song, I was not super into that music. And I've since gotten into a lot more rap and hip-hop, and trap music still really isn't my thing. But I've come to really appreciate this song. And some of the production is pretty cool. And there's this podcast called Tape Notes. I think that's what it's called. And they break this song down in an episode of it, and the production of the song is really cool, which also made me like it more. And then there's, I think, mine and everyone's least favorite song on the album, which is The Man Who Married a Robot. Just because it's this weird Siri story about this guy falling in love with the internet and like this thing on his phone or computer or something, and then dying. It's a weird song, but I've come to like it, and it's a good break in the album, and it's just kind of can provide you a breath with. Oh gosh. I need to quit yawning. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I need an inhaler. But I still like The Man Who Married a Robot. And then it goes into Inside Your Mind, which, like, the concept of the song is literally like, hey, baby, come here. Come here. Let me see. I'm going to crack the back of your head open and look in your head. And let me read your brain. Ew. No. That's like, pull that pepper spray out. That, get away from me. You fucking, I don't want that. Whatever you're doing. Maddie Healy, don't want it. If that's what you were trying to do to Taylor Swift, no wonder y'all broke up. If you were like, hey, Taylor, come here. Let me get inside your mind. And started like grabbing the back of her scalp. No wonder. No wonder she was like, get me out of here. She was like, Charlie Puth. Taylor was like, Charlie Puth should be a bigger pop star. And Maddie Healy has some issues. Because, ugh. It's a great song, but the concept of Inside Your Mind is a little demented. Little demented. And then the next, and it doesn't help that this song goes into it's between this and Love It If We Made It. Because the next song's It's Not Living If It's Not With You, which is simply probably, I think objectively it may be their best song. It's probably not my favorite of their songs. I know it's not my favorite of their songs, but in terms of like everything they are known for and they do at their best, It's Not Living If It's Not With You is probably their best song. It's one of those songs like I talked about Semi-Charmed Life. Like this is one of those songs of he's talking about doing drugs, but it sounds like a love song. And it's such a phenomenal song in every shape and form. The production is amazing. It's catchy. It's got all the melodies. The lyrics are catchy, but they are super meaningful. And oh my gosh, it's perfect in terms of like being an 80s song while also being super modern and having this original twist. Gosh, it may be the best song on this album. It probably is, but I'm depending on the day, it's either It's Not Living If It's Not With You or Love It If We Made It, which one I like more, but they're both incredible. And then the album it slows down a bit because the last 4 songs, Surrounded by Heads and Bodies, I love this song. It's about Maddie in rehab. And right, yeah, this is the one. So this song's about Maddie in rehab, as far as I know. And this person he met, and how I almost threw up. Didn't though. We're good. We're still good. Didn't throw up for now. But Surrounded by Heads and Bodies is a really well written and sad song about when Maddie was in rehab. He met this person, and I don't really know anything else about it, but I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. And then Mine is literally an R&B song from the 90s. It's an R&B ballad. That's all it is. And it's great. It's simply a great song. Like, the whole, like, you should grow up. What does he say? You need to grow up and find a wife. there comes a time in a young man's life he should settle down and find himself a wife. Like it's just simply a great R&B song. Oh wait, is this the R&B song? No, it's not. You know what? I'm already putting my foot in my mouth, so I'm just going to give up and just be like, "You know what? Everything I say, don't listen to it. Just I like anything remotely. Like I'm kind like I'm book smart to an extent, but I'm also like a dumb. So take everything I say with a little pinchy, tinchy, pinchy, pinch of salt, little bit, and then everything else just like ignore it. But we're gonna move on because the next song is "I Couldn't Be More in Love." This is what I was thinking of. This is more like an R&B song. This song is great. I also do like mine because I know you were my, yeah, yeah. And then "I Couldn't Be More in Love" is just it's the combination of "I Couldn't Be More in Love" and "I Always Want to Die Sometimes" back to back is a killer combo because you have like "I Love You So Much" and then you have "I Literally Want to Die." And there's no combo better than that in general in terms of life or songs. And because you basically go from "I'm so in love" to "I'm so in love I want to die," which I think everyone has felt before. And it's an important feeling for everyone to feel, if I'm being honest. Because "I Always Want to Die Sometimes." I'm trying to think. I think it's their best closer. I'm trying to think of the closers for the other albums. This song is it's easily one of the most underrated songs in their discography, period. And it's such a well written song, and it's so like it's a title that I would want to write. "I Always Want to Die Sometimes." It's so clever and so ironic. I don't know, man. There's something about this song, but there's some douchebag on a motorcycle going vroom, 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 vroom. Like if you do that, go to therapy. Go go play video games. Go find a girlfriend. Go find a hobby. Have some motivations in life other than driving down the street and revving your engine that's going vroom, vroom, tiny penis, vroom, vroom, small penis. That's always that's a joke my dad makes that I have since co-opted into my own because it's funny and it's true. But that's the end of that album. My third favorite album of all time. A Brief Inquiry into Honor and Relationships. Now for the switch up of all switch ups, my second favorite album of all time. Oh boy, people, it's Folklore by Taylor Swift. The second I heard this album, I was like, yes, this is her best album. Period. And there are points when I think this may be my favorite album ever. But my number one, I think it's not actually. I occasionally I'll think of it and then I'll go listen to my favorite album ever, and I realize that it's not close. But this is second, and it's still this is one of the in terms of songwriting. This is one of the best written albums ever. The songwriting is so well done. The secrets and the little intricacies in all the lyrics, in how some of the lyrics connect together in the songs, and there's like the what do they call that? Love triangle songs. Gosh, it's so good, and it covers so many different topics. Like the one, "My Tears Ricochet" is I probably, other than "Clean," which I'm pretty sure is a track 5, her best song, or her best track 5 song. And "This Is Me Trying" is the best song on this album. This was my COVID album. Folklore was my COVID album. It got me through COVID. It really helped. It's just in terms of the songs that were written in the albums that were written and made during COVID, I don't think there's one that's better than this. That does such a good job at portraying the melancholy everyone felt during that time, or at least that I felt during that time, that I think a lot of people felt. Some people apparently thrived during COVID. Couldn't be me. Because this album was the perfect meal and the perfect thing to help me process it. And it starts off, oh my gosh. Like this is during this era of the Eras tour when everyone else kind of goes to the bathroom, when like the adults that aren't big Swifties would go to the bathrooms. This is when I cried. This is my era. Folklore is my era. This is a super like this kind of music, this folky acoustic songs is something I want to explore later in my own career, and she does it so well. Like the Aaron Dessner's production is amazing. The songwriting is truly incredible. And I think I think another reason why I've had more of a visceral reaction about the new album is when people say that the new album is like Folklore. Guys, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. Go back and listen to this album. The songwriting is incredible. Like how how can you write an album that has like Cardigan and Exile and My Tears Ricochet and Mirrorball and August and This Is Me Trying and Mad Woman? Mad Woman's an underrated song. Did she? No, that wasn't on the Eras Tour set list. Tolerate it was, right? Yeah, which is from Evermore. But I mean, guys, this album is truly incredible. And you have the Last Great American Dynasty's bridge is one of her most underrated bridges. They say she was seen on occasion, basing the rock staring out at the midnight sea, and in a feud with her neighbor, she stole his dog and dyed a key lime green. Like that's it's like this album is just both so fun and so well written. And the super duck. I might be dying. If I yawn again, I might call a hospital. I might call the ambulance to come get me, because I don't know what's wrong with me. But this overall is the best album of the 21st century. Period. And I was already, before this album came out, I was sort of becoming a Swiftie. I kind of became a Swiftie in 2020. And then this album came out, and I was on board. I was like, okay, I need to know everything. I want to know absolutely everything about this woman, because this album is incredible. And I just dove in. And it was one of the albums that like really got me interested in like maybe I could try songwriting. And then after this album, I listened to this album came out in 2020, and this got me through COVID. Then I did the 365 albums in a year thing, an album a day, and I heard my number one favorite album of all time, and it made me want to start really writing songs. My number one favorite album of all time is The Stranger by Billy Joel. In my opinion, the only perfect album is The Stranger by Billy Joel. It is I have routines with this album. Like my favorite song ever, I think the greatest song ever written is Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I truly think this is a perfect album. It's 9 songs. It gets in. It's like Thriller. Thriller is on my list. It's down a little bit. I think it's 8 or 9, because this album means everything to me emotionally. In terms of everything this album has done for me, like I always tell people there's like 3 or 4 things that really made me want to start truly making music. Elton John in general, La La Land, and this album, The Stranger by Billy Joel. The songwriting on this album is incredible. The production is so soft pop rock. It's so well done. The emotions, the depth of the songwriting, how poignant some of the lyrics are. Like, the only thing we can do is go through this album and go through the track list. Moving Out, Anthony's song, is one of the greatest openers for any album, period. That's immediate hit of the dun dun do 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 ba bam ba dun dun do do do. Like, and then everyone knows that song, I hope. And the heart attack, you oughta know by now, you oughta know by now, who needs a house out in Hackensack? Is that all you get for your money? Like, it just, God, it sets the scene for the album so well. And then immediately transitioning into that piano from that piano intro of The Stranger, and then immediately it, like, cutting out and kicking in to, like, the real song. Oh my gosh. This album is incredible. Like, and then just keep going down. Every song on this album is a banger, and it, like, is a classic song. Just the Way You Are, seriously, it is one of the greatest love songs ever written. It is, oh my God. I literally could have done an entire podcast about this episode, and one day I very likely will, because I think this album could be talked about forever. And I'm not, and then after Just the Way You Are, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, and if I go into this song about how much I love this song and everything it means to me and how well written and produced and everything I think it is, this podcast is going to be 2 hours long. But I really will just leave it. I truly think this is the greatest pop song ever written. Ever. Period. Period. I think it's the greatest pop song ever. I don't think there is one that gets close. And then, and the thing about this album, you take the greatest pop song ever written, and then the next song is Vienna. That's the biggest. Billy Joel literally was making this album, and he was like, all right, he's like, I'm about to show these motherfuckers what I can do. He's like, I haven't had a hit album yet. He's like, my last album, Turnstiles, which is, I think, one of the most underrated albums, period. He's like, it didn't perform well. You know what? I'm just going to show these fuckers. He's like, you know what? I'm bitter. I'm angry. I don't know if this is actually how he felt. I listened to his book, but I forgot. Or a book about his life. And then he just goes, you know what? Scenes from an Italian Restaurant? Oh, yeah, that's one of the greatest songs ever written. I mean, I think it's the greatest song ever written. He just goes, yeah, let's make Vienna the next song, the song about growing old and childhood, and that makes everyone cry, and that most people say is the best song on this album. And then you go, Vienna waits for you, and you get the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Doon, doon, and then the song ends, and then what do you get? You get Only the Good Die Young. Only the Good Die Young. You get the greatest song ever written about trying to sleep with a Catholic girl. That's what the song's about. And Catholic people, when this song came out, they tried to boycott it. I think they did. I'm pretty sure the song got boycotted hard when it came out, because this song's amazing. It's so, come out, Virginia, don't let me wait. You Catholic girl started much too late. Oh, but sooner or later it comes down to fate. You might as well be the one. Like, no, okay, if I'm being honest, if I was like a Catholic preacher in 1977, if I heard this song, I'd be like, this song's too fucking groovy. We got to get the kids to not listen to the song because some of these Catholic girls are going to stop waiting. So I can't blame them, because this song's incredible. And then you get She's Always a Woman, which is one of the best songs in terms of songwriting, of like how to write a love song about a woman and not make it patronizing or condescending, of just like towing the line perfectly of writing the perfect pop song describing like this person that you're in love with. And then I think the last two songs on this album, I think, are the two songs that most people would say are the least popular songs and the quote unquote worst songs on the album. I disagree. I think so. Get It Right the First Time is the second to last song on the album. It's this 8th song. I love this song. The do 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 do. Oh my God, I could talk about this album for ages. Oh, I love this album so much. Like, and the concept is so good, because as somebody who's so horrible with first impressions, like, I never make good first impressions with anybody, which is why I kind of like the idea of being an online person or having an online presence, because then whenever I meet someone in person, if they know who I am online, I won't have to make a first impression, because they will already know me from online, which I'm a fan of, because I am horrible at making first impressions, and this song is literally about making a good first impression. And then I think one of Billy Joel's most underrated songs, period, is Everybody Has a Dream. It is the closer of this album, and it is this like stadium, like, everybody has a dream. Oh my God. Guys, like, if you haven't heard this album, go listen to The Stranger. It is the greatest album ever, period. And I've recommended this album to people some people have come back and said this is an incredible album, and even the people like even people that haven't loved this album, they've come back to me and said like it's not for me, but I can appreciate how well written, how well produced, how incredible this album is, despite the fact that it's not for me. This is truly one of my favorite pieces of media, other than La La Land. In terms of I think all of entertainment and media, I think my two favorite pieces of media are La La Land, and number 2 is The Stranger. Depending on what day you ask me, The Stranger may be number 1. Probably not often. La La Land is usually number 1, period. But I truly think The Stranger is the greatest album ever made. And my goal in terms of my songwriting career is to make something that to write a song that I think can be compared to Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I don't think I truly will ever cross it. I don't think any song I ever hear will top that song. But if I can get close, I think in terms of my songwriting for my life, I will be satisfied. Because this truly is the greatest album ever made. And I could go on and gush more, but I feel like I'm just going to start repeating myself and I'm just going to keep being like this is the greatest album ever made. Cuz I don't know what else to say. I love it so much. And I know some people are like, "All right, Landon, you have an Elton John snow globe on your little podcast desk. You say Elton John is your favorite artist ever. Where is his album?" His album's in the top 10, I think. Let me look. Top 10, top 15? Top 15. Because my thing with Elton John is as a performer, and as a performer, he's my favorite, and melodically, he's my favorite. But in terms of albums, other than Goodbye Yellow Brick Road and Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy and Too Low for Zero, actually, no, there's a ton of his albums that are some of my favorites ever. But he's not in my top 10 just because I don't think he ever released an album that was as front to back fantastic as other albums. And still, and I like my thing is if you take Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the album, which is a double album, if you cut it down and you make it a single album, it would probably be one of my top 5, top 10 favorite albums ever. I just think it being a double album, there's some songs on there that are my favorite. But I'm glad we went on this journey. I really, I'm not lying. I really just want us to keep talking about The Stranger by Billy Joel. I truly could talk about that for a 4 to 5 hour podcast, and we could go song by song and talk about every person on the song that helped produce it, write it. Well, Billy Joel writes all his songs, but like, oh my gosh. Please, if I have to give a recommendation, I'm begging you, please go listen to The Stranger. I'm begging you. It is an incredible album. Incredible album. Please go listen to it. But I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to make some dinner, despite the fact it's 8 p.m. I'm going to do a little munchy munch. It's a Friday night, so I'm probably just going to do the same thing I always do, which is watch some sort of TV show or a movie or work on content. Probably more like that. But, guys, I'm enjoying doing the podcast. If you're liking the podcast, let me know. Send me a question, as always, for one of the Q&A episodes I do every week. Everything else, just like, I hope you're doing great. I don't really know much else. Let me know what no, we'll do this. Let me know in the comments one of your top 5 favorite albums ever. Or what you think of everyone's going to hate my picks because everyone hates everything online. So don't let me know what you think of my picks because no one's going to say anything nice. So let me know your favorite picks, and then we can have a more productive conversation. But anyways, I hope y'all have a great day, great week, great month, great year, everything. Great going forward. I hope it's great. And, be kind as always. This has been For the Record. I have and always will be Landyn Zane. Peace and love. Adios. I totally forgot. Also, stream my new single. Now I'm out. Bye.